Ready for another 2-hour post-meal blood sugar? Yay, 138. I will take it. I am filming a vlog-style video today that you will see going up next week with my videos, but I am filming my first time here at a pre-bolus experiment. I noticed that the past couple of days, I've been spiking really fast, and I thought maybe I would try to pre-bolus 20 minutes prior to my actually consuming my meal to see if that would help either lessen the spikes or not make my blood sugars go as erratic, and it has helped so far. 2 hours post-meal, that's a pretty gosh darn good 2 hours post-meal. However, I had mentioned too, if my, I feel like I'm a little higher way after a meal has passed, I might increase my basal rate up again. I went from 8 to 9 last night, but I can always revert back to 8 if 9 seems to be too high as I go on later in the day, or I can always go up to 10 and see what that does. But I usually try to mess with my Humalog first. But anyways, I'm not going to get into too much of that. That was my 2 hours post-meal, 138. Let's jump into today's video. Hi everyone, it's Maddie. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. We are a couple days away from Christmas. Pretty crazy to me how fast time has flown. But I will post a Christmas video tomorrow for you guys, like I do for every holiday. That'll go up Christmas Eve. I might film it today, just because obviously I'll be spending time with my family, but then you guys can kind of get to know how I plan on tackling the food with the type 1 diabetes, the sweets, how to deal with like the stress and like the chaos with your blood sugars, how I might attack that. But anyways, today's video, as you probably can tell by the title, like we talked about opposite last week, we're going to talk about today how I personally deal with my low blood sugars. So, in any case, you know that low blood sugars are probably more dangerous than high blood sugars because it doesn't take long for you to go low once you are in the lower range, and they can also be cause acute damage, meaning that if you go so low, you could pass out or have a seizure or go unconscious, and all kinds of other things can happen. Whereas with high blood sugars, it takes a while before you end up getting sick and in ketoacidosis. So, like I had said in my high blood sugar videos, the first thing you're probably going to want to do is troubleshoot the cause. So, there's probably 3 major causes I can think of that I take into consideration when I have a low blood sugar. For me, the number one thing that probably causes my low blood sugar is just too much activity. I increased my activity a lot this year. Even right before I was diagnosed, I was trying to increase my activity level just to feel better, get in a better cardiovascular shape, and so on and so forth. And now me still being even more active now that I am, I feel like I'm healthier than I was before I had diabetes. I'm definitely watching more of my foods and stuff. But I feel like I still have a ton of activity, and if I take my insulin dosage, I could drop low because of the activity. Obviously, activity, it kind of increases the sensitivity of insulin that's in your body, and your body needs the energy to keep going. So whatever sugar is in your bloodstream and whatever insulin is in your bloodstream, the insulin is going to quickly send that sugar into the cells and into the tissues to be used for energy, leaving you with depleted sugar in the blood. So that could cause a low blood sugar. The second thing that probably causes my low blood sugars probably has everything to do with the amount of insulin I take. Now, my insulin doses are still fairly small. I take anywhere from 3 to 4 units a meal for the most part. However, sometimes I notice after I eat a meal that I would prep for that I normally would, sometimes I'll have one day where it'll go up and come down nicely, and other days I will literally flatline and bomb out and drop down, and then I gotta eat more sugar to pick it back up because my body wasn't digesting the food fast enough to kind of catch up with the insulin. So sometimes for me, too much insulin can cause it, but my most problem is too much activity. And the third thing that can cause mine is definitely having to do with improper carb counting. Now, I'm very meticulous about my carb counting for the most part. If I'm out to eat or I'm eating a meal that I don't really know what's in it, I will kind of Google and take a guess about what is on my plate, take a guess at the size, the weight, etc., etc., and then I can get a good idea and a good feel for how many carbohydrates are in that meal and take dosage for it. However, if you're doing a lot of meals like that, you might find yourself overestimating carbohydrates when there really isn't that many there, and your blood sugar goes low because you took too little carbohydrates for the amount of insulin that you thought you were going to end up taking. So that could play a huge effect with that. And sometimes too, if you go into more of like the environmental stuff, for me, if I get cold, sometimes my blood sugar will go down fast, or if I'm outside doing a lot of activity in the cold, it doesn't take long for my blood sugar to start coming down, and I usually have to eat a snack. Typically, I either eat a pack of Skittles or fruit snacks to kind of raise it up. And like I said, it all depends too on what you eat. So if you took insulin for a meal that was like very high in fat and maybe low in carbohydrate, or also if it was very high in carbohydrate and high in fat, it might take a while for the blood sugars to raise because the fat kind of delays the absorption of the carbohydrates into the bloodstream. Same with fiber. If you eat things that are high in fiber, it can either delay or stop some of the sugars from entering the bloodstream as quickly. So that could be a cause of low blood sugar as well. Again, depends on the food, depends on your activity, depends on your carb counting, and depends on your insulin dosage. Those are the main things that are going to cause low blood sugar. In any case, you need to troubleshoot the cause. Even if you're not 100% correct, you're never really going to know. You can usually take a good guess, an educated guess. At least troubleshoot the cause so you know for that particular activity, that particular meal, this particular situation, you know what to do next time. So, like for me, I do a lot of horse shoveling poop for my neighbor, and I tend to go low. So usually about halfway through, I will look at my blood sugar, and if I notice it is dropping quite significantly, I will eat a snack before I go dangerously low. Now, the next thing I recommend you guys is get one of these. Like for the highs too, they work great, but they also work good for lows. I have my low bar set for 70 now. I used to have it set for 75, but it was kind of annoying me that it was going off at 75 because I usually feel fine at 75. It's not till I get to that 72 or lower state is when I start noticing problems. So, you can always, if you're glancing at your CGM every hour or so, you don't have to go crazy, but if you're glancing at it every so often, you can usually tell if you're dropping or not. But so like for me, if I'm out doing a lot of activity and I notice my blood sugar is like 89 with a slight arrow headed down, I might eat a small amount of something to just either level that line off or shoot it back up just a little bit so that I have enough energy in my bloodstream to keep going so I don't get the shakes, I don't get headaches, I don't get anxious, I don't get any of those low blood sugar symptoms. So if you can prevent a dangerous low blood sugar before it gets out of control or before you start getting really bad hypoglycemia symptoms, do that. That is one thing I definitely recommend with dealing with lows. And with like anything else, like dealing with high blood sugars, you probably don't want to panic about it. They're bound to happen. Diabetes is going to throw highs and lows, highs and lows. You try to avoid as much of that roller coaster as possible, and you try to avoid running constantly high and constantly low because it's not good for your body. I don't know if running constantly low is as dangerous as running constantly high, but I'm sure your risk of having, like I said, seizures and passing out and going unconscious is pretty high if you continue to run your sugars into the lower half, especially if you're active too. You're not going to feel very good constantly shaking and stuff. And the final tip for dealing with lows is don't overcorrect. Now, easier said than done, right? But I will tell you guys how I treat my lows. Now, depends what situation I'm in, will depend on what kind of food I'm going to eat. I have a variety of things that I use to treat my lows, from juice to glucose tabs to fruit snacks to Skittles, lifesavers. Pretty much those are the basic things I'm going to use to treat a low blood sugar. So overnight, I will typically use a juice box because overnight is probably the most critical time that you want your blood sugar to just go up and keep you up so that you don't go unconscious and die in the middle of the night from a low blood sugar. So if my blood sugar is on the lower end in the middle of the night, or my CGM wakes me up, my Dexcom beep, 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 your blood sugar's low, to me the easiest thing is to drink juice in the middle of the night. Juice works pretty fast on me, but the fastest thing that works on me is glucose tablets. Now, when you have a low blood sugar, you guys know you get that pit of hunger that is so startling that you just kind of want to eat everything in sight. Try not to do that. I have overcorrected my lows, and I have learned, definitely learned not to do that anymore. That's why I recommend glucose tablets. Now, people don't like these a lot, or there might be a lot of people that don't care for them. However, you can microtreat. If you know roughly how much a certain amount of glucose tablets will raise your blood sugar, you can give a good guess so that you don't overtreat. Now, for me, about 4 glucose tablets will raise me 40 to 55 milligrams per deciliter. I will leave that in millimoles. So for me, if my blood sugar is riding in like the lower 80s and I'm not going to eat for a while, I might only take 1 to 2 glucose tablets just to bump my blood sugar up, 20 to 30 to get it up healthier so I don't skyrocket. I wouldn't take a full treatment at that point. You can also, if you have the time, cut the glucose tablets in half. Most glucose tablets usually have 4 grams of carbohydrate per tablet. Some ones have 5, so you have to be careful and watch which ones you're buying. But if you want and you have the time, cut them in half so that if you only feel like you really need 1.5 glucose tablets, instead of raising you 20 to 30, it might raise you 15 to 25. So you're giving yourself more of a tight control, kind of like when you use half units on an insulin pen or you're on a pump. You can get that really fine dosage and dial in just like to the T and get as close as you can to like an actual non-diabetic body as possible, and that can kind of help you not overcorrect your low blood sugars. So stay out of the kitchen when you treat your low blood sugars. I try to treat mine like in my living room or in my bedroom or somewhere other than the kitchen, because you're probably going to sit there and snack on a bunch of things. And once you get your blood sugar up, have some sort of protein snack. Now, protein can raise your blood sugar, but it's usually a lot slower of a raise. So have some sort of meat, have like a little bit of peanut butter, have cheese, some sort of hearty vegetable that has some protein. Try to avoid eating things with heavy carbs, because you would just ate some fast-acting carbs to get that blood sugar back up. You could have what they call a hard carb. You could have like some crackers or a very small piece of bread or something. If you feel like your blood sugar might go low again and you don't want to take more of the sugary stuff to kind of treat it, you can do that. But definitely eat some sort of protein after you treat a low blood sugar. That will help keep that sugar stable, or at least keep it from falling fast again. My typical things after I'm done with the low blood sugar, I'll, either eat my meal if it happened to be, before I'm going to eat a meal, or I might have like string cheese, meat sticks. Sometimes I'll eat like a few raw vegetables like spinach and such that have a little more protein. You could have a few crackers. Again, it's up to you, as long as you kind of know how to guide yourself into what your blood sugars do, because my blood sugars are going to behave way differently than yours, and I know that for a fact. So anyways, I think this sums up today's video. I hope this helped you guys out. Kind of a longer video again today, but kind of wanted to talk about this in retrospect to the high blood sugars that I talked about last week. So anyways, I hope you are all doing well. I hope you're all having fantastic holiday preparations. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a big thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you do decide to subscribe, you can hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button so you never miss when I upload something new. I just wanted to pop on here quick too and say, yesterday's video you saw was a Christmas theme video, and part of my clip in my house got cut out, so I will insert some pictures here so you can see my Christmas tree and my little reindeer that sit on top of like our big window in the front. They're kind of like a Santa sleigh with a bunch of reindeer that light up with their noses. They're all kind of like little Rudolph reindeers. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I did get some really awesome editing software for my laptop now, so hopefully you'll be able to get some awesome videos filmed on my Nikon camera instead of my phone. But until then, I hope it all goes well. I edited yesterday's video on that new editing software, so I'm loving it so far that I can add sound and kind of blend things together better and adjust pitch and audio and all those cool things. So anyways, that's it, and enjoy the pictures that you missed yesterday. And until, we'll say tomorrow, because you're going to get a video tomorrow, until tomorrow's video for a very fun Christmas diabetes video. Take care, God bless, be kind, spread positivity, and be thankful. Bye, everybody.